The champagne glass slipped from my manicured fingers, crystal exploding against the marble floor of the Ritz-Carlton lobby. Through the restaurant's glass doors, I watched my family. My father, mother, siblings, taking their seats at the table I'd reserved under my corporate account, the table where I was supposed to be sitting. "Wait in the car, Alexandra." Dad's voice echoed in my ears from 5 minutes ago. "The Kingston meeting is too important. We can't risk complications." But I'd already coordinated tonight's timeline with Richard Kingston through my assistant. The family dinner would provide the perfect setting for the revelation. By complications, he meant me. The daughter who'd walked away from Mitchell Investment Group 5 years ago. The family disappointment who'd chosen to find herself instead of joining the dynasty. I pressed my phone closer to my ear as my assistant's voice cut through the lobby noise. "The Kingston Enterprises Board is ready for your call, Madame President. They're waiting for final confirmation of the acquisition." "My name is Alexandra. I'm 32 and the secret owner of the company my family is desperately trying to impress. This is the story of how I bought my way back to the family table." The maitre d' approached cautiously, eyeing the shattered crystal. "Miss Mitchell, shall I—" "Actually," I interrupted, straightening my Hermes blazer, "I believe my family is expecting me for dinner. The private dining room?" His eyes widened as recognition dawned. "Of course, Madame President. Right this way." Following the maitre d' through the elegant restaurant to the private dining room, I reflected on the irony. For months, my family had been reading about the mysterious AM holdings in financial publications. They wondered who could afford to quietly acquire controlling interests in major corporations. They'd analyzed my company's moves, speculated about its owner, even tried to court the enigmatic CEO for potential partnerships. They never suspected their failed daughter was the woman behind the empire. As we walked through the restaurant, I remembered the exact moment this all began. The family meeting 2 years ago when I'd tried to convince them to modernize Mitchell Investment Group's approach. AI-driven trading systems will revolutionize the industry, I'd argued, presenting months of research. Marcus had laughed. "Let the grown-ups handle business, Alexandra. Maybe stick to your art therapy or whatever you're doing now." Dad had been more diplomatic but equally dismissive. "We built this company on human insight, not computer guesswork. That's not changing." What they hadn't known was that I'd already begun testing my theories. My trust fund, significantly smaller than my siblings since I'd abandoned the family business, had become seed money. Seed money for the most aggressive tech investment strategy the market had ever seen. The private dining room door stood slightly ajar. I could hear Richard Kingston Sr.'s voice. "Mitchell Investment Group's traditional approach is exactly what we need. Stability, proven methods." 3 generations of success, my father added proudly. My daughter Alexandra considered joining us, but she chose a different path. Sometimes the young need to explore before they understand the value of legacy. I pushed the door open. The scene froze like a photograph. Dad mid-gesture with his wine glass, Mom's practiced smile faltering, my siblings Diana and Marcus looking like they'd swallowed glass, and across from them, Richard Kingston Sr., CEO of Kingston Enterprises, rising from his seat with genuine surprise. "Madame President," he said, executing a small bow, "I had no idea this was your family." Having orchestrated tonight's reveal, I'd ensured Richard would recognize me from our preliminary video conferences about the acquisition. The silence that followed was absolute. "Richard," I nodded, walking to the empty chair at the head of the table. Dad's usual position. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." "Alexandra?" Dad's voice cracked slightly. "What are you doing here?" "Having dinner with my family," I replied smoothly, settling into the chair, "and apparently meeting with my newest acquisition." Marcus choked on his wine. "Your what?" I reached into my Birkin bag and withdrew a leather portfolio. I slid it across the table to Richard Kingston. The papers finalizing Kingston Enterprises' integration into AM Holdings documents that would make tonight's crucial meeting completely irrelevant. "Just need your signature on the final transfers, Richard," I said casually, "though I suppose we should discuss this in front of potential consultants." Dad's hand shot out, stopping the portfolio mid-slide. "What is this?" "This," I said, meeting his eyes for the first time in 3 years, "is what happens when you underestimate someone's potential." The truth spilled out in careful, measured sentences. How I'd turned my modest trust fund into a tech investment empire. How AM Holdings, the company they'd been desperately trying to court, had been mine all along. How every traditional approach they'd praised tonight had been outperformed by my AI systems, by margins they couldn't even comprehend. The Kingston Enterprises acquisition was finalized this morning, I explained as they stared at documents proving their newest client was actually their daughter's subsidiary. "Today just makes it official." Diana found her voice first. "That's impossible. You left with nothing. You couldn't afford—" "I left with a trust fund and a vision you called computer guesswork," I interrupted. While Mitchell Investment Group clung to outdated methods, I built systems that could predict market movements with 94% accuracy. While you managed the same portfolios using the same strategies your grandfather used, I was revolutionizing entire industries. I pulled out my phone, displaying real-time trading data. In the past 5 minutes, my algorithms have generated more profit than Mitchell Investment Group made last quarter. Mom's composure finally cracked. "But you threw everything away, the family legacy, your position in the firm." "No," I corrected. "I built something better. While you were all protecting the past, I was investing in the future." The waiter appeared with champagne, Dom Perignon that I'd pre-ordered, knowing exactly how this evening would unfold. As he poured, I watched my family grapple with their new reality. "What happens to us now?" Dad finally asked, his voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. I lifted my champagne flute, watching the bubbles rise like tiny possibilities. "Now we discuss the future of Mitchell Investment Group. After all," I smiled, remembering every dismissive comment, every time they'd underestimated me. "I believe in keeping business in the family." 24 hours later, the reality of last night's revelation was still settling over San Francisco's financial district. The next morning, I sat in my penthouse office overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge. I watched the sun burn through San Francisco's fog. My phone had been buzzing since dawn. 43 missed calls from family members, dozens of texts, and several panicked emails from Mitchell Investment Group's board. Word traveled fast in financial circles. The revelation that AM Holdings' mysterious owner was the wayward Mitchell daughter had sent shockwaves through Wall Street. "Your brother is in the lobby," my AI assistant Iris announced. "He appears distressed." After clearing security with my authorization, I pulled up the security feed. Marcus looked haggard. His usually perfect appearance, disheveled gone, was the confident managing director who'd laughed at my computer guesswork 2 years ago. "Send him up," I decided. He burst through my office doors clutching a Wall Street journal. The story had broken after Kingston's assistant leaked the acquisition details to financial reporters overnight. The headline read, "Tech mogul Alexandra Mitchell reveals identity. AM Holdings acquires Kingston Enterprises." "How long?" he demanded, throwing the paper on my desk. "How long have you been planning this?" I gestured to the visitor's chair. "Sit down, Marcus, you look terrible." "Don't patronize me." But he sat anyway, running, shaking hands through his hair. "Dad hasn't slept. The board is in chaos. Our clients are calling non-stop." "Asking what?" "Whether you're planning to destroy Mitchell Investment Group, whether this was all revenge." I activated my office's holographic display system, filling the air with real-time market data. Marcus's eyes widened as he watched billions of dollars flow through AI-driven trading algorithms. "Look at these numbers," I said. "Your client portfolio has declined 23% over 3 years. Your technology hasn't been updated since 2018. Your methods are stuck in the last century." "We have tradition," Marcus protested weakly. "Tradition doesn't generate returns." I cut him off. "While you and Dad were clinging to grandfather's playbook, I revolutionized how money moves through global markets. The world evolved. Mitchell Investment Group didn't. My office door chimed. Diana entered more cautiously than Marcus, her designer heels clicking against marble floors. Her eyes swept the state-of-the-art office holographic displays, panoramic city views, the unmistakable atmosphere of serious power. "This is impressive," she admitted quietly. "Sit down, both of you. We need to discuss the future." They settled onto the Italian leather sofa, looking lost in the gleaming temple of modern finance I'd built. "Let me show you what real innovation looks like," I continued, expanding the holographic display. Trading algorithms painted the air with streaming data, market predictions, and profit calculations. My siblings watched transfixed as my systems managed more money in an hour than their firm handled in months. "This is what I tried to bring to Mitchell Investment Group," I explained. "This is what Dad rejected." Before either could respond, Iris announced another visitor. After receiving my clearance to access the executive floor, Dad walked in slowly. He looked older than I'd ever seen him. The commanding presence was gone, replaced by something fragile and uncertain. He carried a thick folder, documents I recognized from my childhood. "Your proposals," he said quietly, setting the folder on my desk. "Every innovation you suggested, every modernization plan, I kept them all." "Dad." "I was wrong," he interrupted, his voice barely above a whisper. I was so focused on preserving what my father built that I couldn't see the future standing right in front of me. "Couldn't see what you were becoming?" Diana stood abruptly. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying Mitchell Investment Group needs Alexandra, not as an enemy, but as its leader." Marcus shot to his feet. "What about the succession plan? I'm managing director." "The succession plan failed," Dad said firmly. "Look around, Marcus. Your sister built this while we were stuck in the past. She transformed her trust fund into a tech empire while our firm hemorrhaged clients." I pressed a button, darkening the windows and activating the main presentation screen. Charts appeared showing Mitchell Investment Group's declining performance alongside AM Holdings' meteoric rise. "In 5 years," I explained, "my company achieved what Mitchell Investment Group couldn't in 50. Not because I'm smarter, but because I embraced change instead of fighting it." "So what's your plan?" Diana asked quietly. "Complete transformation," I replied. "Mitchell Investment Group becomes a subsidiary of AM Holdings. We integrate my AI systems, modernize your operations, retrain your staff. Everyone starts over." "Even us?" Marcus's voice was barely audible. "Especially you. You want to keep your positions? Prove you can learn. Start from the bottom. Understand the technology. Earn your roles in the new company." I turned to Dad. "You'll be chairman emeritus. Advisory role only. It's time to let go." He nodded slowly, years of rigid control finally crumbling. "There's one condition," I added. "No more hierarchy based on assumptions. No more dismissing ideas because they challenge the status quo. We build this together, or not at all." The silence stretched as they processed my offer. Outside, morning fog was lifting, revealing the city in sharp detail. Finally, Diana spoke. "I want to learn everything. The AI systems, the trading algorithms, all of it." Marcus looked between us, then at the displays showing his sister's success. "Me too. I need to understand what I missed." Dad walked to the windows, studying the city below. "I spent years trying to force you all into roles I'd predetermined. Alexandra, you were the only one brave enough to refuse, to find your own path." He turned back to us. "Maybe it's time we all found new paths." I activated the contract display, legal documents I'd prepared since last night's dinner. "Welcome to Mitchell Innovation Group," I announced. One by one, they signed. Not just contracts, but a new beginning. 6 months later, I stood in the same office watching Marcus present his first AI-driven market analysis. Diana had mastered blockchain integration and revolutionized our client interface. Dad, freed from the burden of absolute control, had become a valued strategic advisor, Richard Kingston had stayed on as CEO of Kingston Enterprises Now, operating smoothly under AM Holdings' enhanced technology platform. The Mitchell Investment Group sign had been replaced with sleek new branding, Mitchell Innovation Group, a division of AM Holdings. But more importantly, the old family dynamics had been replaced too. My phone buzzed. A message from Dad. "Family dinner tonight. Your choice of restaurant." I smiled, remembering that night at the Ritz-Carlton when I'd been excluded from the table. Now I texted back. "Sounds perfect, and this time everyone has a seat." Because sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying what hurt you. It's transforming it into something better, something that could only exist because you were strong enough to walk away smart enough to build something new and generous enough to bring everyone along when you finally succeeded. The future belonged to those brave enough to create it, and my family was finally ready to join me in building it. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles, zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.